Hello everyone, Nika here with your Daily Neuro Nugget. Welcome back. I hope you guys all had a great Easter, and if you don't celebrate Easter, well, I hope you had a great weekend. Today is an 18-hour day for me. No time for tea, just regular water. It's growing on me. It's supposed to be really good for you. So let's talk about the 3 unknown male DNA and why it's extremely problematic. Okay, 16 months going on this case, and we still have 3 unknown male DNA. Just to remind you, out of those 3 unknown male sources, 1 was found on the glove on November 20th, 2022, a week after the crime. And you're telling me that it still is unknown male DNA, aka not tested, possibly? Now, the other 2 were found in the home. Why have they not been tested? We know there has been other DNA tested, found on cigarette butts. We know other people have submitted their DNA and they've been ruled out. Why have these 3 DNA samples have not been tested? That is concerning. It's almost like they want us to believe that they have the right guy and that this person acted alone. Now, if I were a parent, I would want justice, meaning if Kohberger is or is not involved, we need to see if there were other people involved as well, and they need to be held accountable as well. Now, Kohberger's DNA was allegedly found on the button snap on the knife sheath, but it's transfer DNA, and that is also problematic, meaning if I shake your hand when we meet for coffee, and then you go out and unalive someone, which of course you would never do, ever. You shook my hand, and that means that my transfer DNA could have ended up at the scene of the crime, meaning now I am all of a sudden guilty because I met you for coffee. Thank you, jerk. Yeah, it is very problematic, and they don't really talk about that too much, right? Now, of course, the crime scene has already been demolished, so that's absolutely ridiculous. And some people are saying, look, the 3 unknown male DNA, they don't matter. None of them were found on the sheath. But you know what? It does matter. It is a big deal, especially because this crime is massive, and this is a life case. Just to remind you, Mr. Kohberger, yeah, his life is on the line. So whether you think it is a big deal or not, if you ask Kohberger, I'm gonna say it's a big deal, and he's gonna say it's a big deal, most likely. Now, even with this party house being a complete petri dish, aka a party house, we know a lot of people have been in and out of that home. So I'm actually surprised that they did not find more DNA samples, and maybe they did and they only kept samples that were found very close to the crime scene. But did they check under the nails of Kohberger, under the nails of the victims, under the nails of other people that were tested for DNA? Did they check anything in his car? Because from what I have read, there was nothing in his car. There was nothing in his apartment. Just a little bit of DNA on the snap on the knife sheath. Transfer DNA? Problematic, okay? I looked up some statistics just to remind you that transfer DNA is extremely error prone. The study I found is a 2014 study that says familial DNA had an 83% failure rate. Yeah. That means that it only works 17% of the time. So when we have 3 unknown DNA that are unaccounted for, unexplained, not tested, okay, that is enough reason to doubt his guilt. So you want Kohberger to be the unaliver. It's almost like you're forcing him to be the unaliver. They're only going to test one DNA sample. Now, interestingly, the UCMJ, for all of you guys who are veterans, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the guidelines actually state that we need to challenge the admissibility and reliability of touched DNA, which is kind of shocking to me that the UCMJ, who is extremely strict when it comes to punishing and prosecuting crimes, is saying we need to challenge touched DNA. But then we have courts like in Idaho and all over the country who are like, touched DNA, no big deal. Bring it in. And not only that, but let's not test any of the DNA except one guy's so that it fits our story. Please, Idaho, test the 3 unknown male DNAs. And how do they know they're male if they're not tested? Interesting, right? Now, of course, when we follow the money, and there's a lot of money paths and trails in this case, we find a massive one. We understand that the University of Phoenix had just merged with the University of Idaho, and there was a transaction of $685 million. When there is that much money on the line, I believe that universities can definitely feel the pressure to have someone incarcerated. Anyone, especially when the IDAHO4 involved young people attending the university. Why? Because maybe is it possible that having anybody incarcerated means that bad unaliver is off the streets, meaning school is safe, meaning $685 million deal continues. Let me know down in the comments. This is, of course, me speculating, theorizing, and potentially following the money, some of the money. Now, whether you guys like it or not, innocent until proven guilty, that is the facts. So let me know, what do you guys think of that statistics? Is it scary to know that 83% failure rate of familial DNA is a thing? Because when I saw that, well, that just tells me that we probably should be challenging the admissibility of transfer DNA in courts, especially in cases where people's lives are on the line. And again, this is not to defend Kohberger. He might be innocent, he might be guilty. This is to ensure a fair trial takes place. And a fair trial means test the unknown male DNA. Why is that not tested? How do they know it's male DNA? Interesting stuff, interesting stuff. So, what have we learned? Don't trust the science, right? Because even the science can be skewed. Even how DNA is presented as being 100% reliable, it is not. And we have also learned that transfer DNA does not mean that Kohberger was there. Transfer DNA does not place him at the crime scene, and neither does the sheath. And The sheath is not a weapon, people. By the way, did they even ever look for the weapon? Or did they just say, the sheath is enough? Can you imagine if Kohberger maybe sold a sheath? I'm just speculating, of course. This may not even be his sheath. But let's say maybe he just sold a sheath. Or the whole weapon, if he actually had one. Maybe the girls felt unsafe. Remember, they did have a stalker, allegedly. Imagine if he sold a K-bar to one of the girls and the girls kept it for protection. And if this girl whipped out the K-bar to protect herself and there was still remnants of Kohberger's DNA in that button, one of 20,000 possible scenarios, okay? Or what if somebody shook somebody's hand who shook somebody else's hand who then touched the button? That is transfer DNA, people. So whenever you're going through the science, make sure it is reliable. Question everything, question everyone. Nobody is perfect, but we need to look out for everybody and our rights. And in this case, that is Kohberger. And in another case, it could be you, it could be me. So you guys have a wonderful day. Take care. Don't work too hard because I'll go work hard for you. So have a good night.